This podcast is brought to you by Men's T Clinic. Men's T Clinic is the team I trust with my total wellness optimization, and so should you. 5 DFW locations with North Frisco, El Dorado Parkway at Dallas North Tollway now open. Call 972-GO-MEN'S-T or visit mensteclinic.com.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
There are hundreds of new exclusive stations to check out today.
For summer barbecues,
road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
For every mood, every interest, every passion. By Odyssey. Brought to you in part by Macy's and Geico.
KNC Masterpiece here on 105.3 The Fan and the G-Bag Nation. Sean and RJ are out at camp. We will be heading out there in a couple weeks, actually. Right? I think it's the Rams practice will be our first day out there. Hopefully, we'll see some bitter rivalries going on.
You guys can see your favorite quarterback, Matt Stafford.
He's not my favorite, but I think he's on a better team than he's ever been on. I am actually fascinated to see if we could pull Sean McVay, because I know Mike loves Sean McVay. Or thinks he's a super genius. I get it. So I would be fascinated to see Mike sit down with Sean McVay and have a conversation. We might have to put in a request.
You know what's going to be interesting, and I forgot this till I was talking to my buddy.
Yeah.
He's a huge NFL fan, Ryan Perry. He listens to the show quite a bit. Thanks, Ryan.
Love Ryan.
He was saying, remember when we go out there, he wonders what LA will do, because Sean McVay is, my starters don't play 1 second of preseason football, and I forgot that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what we'll see from the Rams in practice.
In their practice, yeah.
Just because, do the starters play in these things? Because he refuses to play any starter 1 snap of preseason football.
Man, and you got to think that the players are like, yes, thank you, coach, especially the starters in that situation. All right, so here's something that went down with G-Bag Nation yesterday. They had Michael Gallup on the show. That is Mike, as a former G-Bagger or national.
Yeah, there it is.
You understand where this started with Michael Gallup. Is he the wide receiver of the G-Bag Nation because of the relationship he's built with Jeff over time?
He's definitely the wide receiver of Jeff.
Okay.
Because I feel like Amari Cooper is Gavin's wide receiver, because at one point, Gavin had him as a top 3 receiver in the game, I think, or at least top 5. So I feel like, now, not saying that Gavin doesn't like Michael Gallup.
But Jeff claimed him early.
Yes, Jeff really liked him in the draft as a second-round pick, and so when he fell to the third-round pick, I forget, who did we take in the second round there?
Connor Williams.
Okay.
Yeah, Connor Williams was the pick, and they thought they wanted Gallup, but Connor was there. So they said, we'll take him, and then Gallup was there again. So they were really happy to get him. Well, that being said, when Gallup got drafted, Jeff Kavanaugh said he'd throw a pizza party. And the pizza party went down. Every year, there's been a number that Michael Gallup has set for the pizza party to be achieved for the following year. Here is a little bit of the conversation between the two of them yesterday.
What is we've had one pizza party. I still owe one pizza party for you, but we have to set up the third one. What yardage total in a 17-game season do you think we should set for a pizza party?
I mean, I'm pushing like 1,200.
12?
I'm pushing 1,200.
Okay, that's a lot of I'm fine with that because it's a big number. It's a lot of pressure on you.
That's a lot of pressure on me.
Okay, you can handle 12?
I can handle it.
I love it.
There you go, Mike. So 1,200 yards, which I think the original one was like 850, and then 950. Then I think last year he said, if we don't get to 1,100, what are we really doing here? And it was kind of a struggle to get there, obviously, because you had Andy Dalton instead of Dak Prescott. Is $1,200 or 1,200 yards?
Money.
Is that too lofty of a goal for Michael Gallup, who is he's become more of just a deep threat, while the other guys are more of a shorter targets, lots of options?
That's a realistic goal, but it's tough to know how games play out. This is the thing why baseball stats are way more important than football stats, is you go up individually, and for the most part, 95% of the time, you're trying to get a hit. There's very few times where you're trying to somewhat sacrifice yourself to move a runner or just to get a run in. And so that's why numbers don't lie in baseball, but they can lie in football. Because if you're up by a certain amount, if the other team, let's just say the Cowboys last year, turned the ball over to you so many times, and you have short fields and you have easy touchdowns where you're having, hey, we had 3 drives of 30 yards or less. Well, that would be bad in a half. But what if all those ended up being touchdowns or 2 touchdowns and a field goal? You're like, yeah, we got 17 points off of just getting 90 yards total. But I think it's doable. If all 3 stay healthy, let's just say Amari Cooper's healthy to start the year and all the guys play all 17 games and aren't really missing snaps because of injury, that number becomes very tough. But if he stays healthy for all 17, and let's just say Amari Cooper misses 3 or 4, hopefully CeeDee Lamb doesn't miss any, but I think it becomes a lot easier because in games, he becomes a number 2 option.
Yeah. Let's say, and this obviously does have a lot to do with, can the Cowboys defense stop people? That's one of the biggest factors. But get up early in a game, it can change the entire thing. I guess I'm just, how much would that affect how the Cowboys look at him? Because he's come up in the question of whether you re-sign him or whether you move on from him and whether you trade him. And if you're producing like that and Dak Prescott, do you become more valuable, or is your trade option more valuable? I guess that's the bigger deal when it comes to Michael Gallup. So
I don't think the Cowboys have never traded a player that's been good at football since Herschel Walker. Because
Jerry likes his toys.
Yeah.
Right? Whenever something's good, why would I trade something?
He's never seen the team as not a championship team or the greatest team he's ever seen, right? He just said yesterday, this is Mike McCarthy came in and he told me this is the greatest team he's ever coached, which means that this is better than all the Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre teams that he was a part of. And Jerry wants to believe every year that this is the greatest Cowboy team ever assembled in football. And he believes that every year, no matter if that team ends up going 6-10 or 5-11 or 13-3. He always believes this is a much better team than 92, 93, and 95. And because of that, he can never look at, I don't think this team is the team to do it. What if I make a few moves to get better for 2023?
Right.
This would make me better if I do this. He can never look at it that way, which at times can be good, but also at times can really push your organization back, as in you never really have future assets.
You know where Mike is always saying, Reggie, like, hey, buy here, sell here, and if you want to hold, you hold these things. That's Jerry doesn't do that. When he buys his cards, he wants to keep them forever because they're going to continue to grow, is what he thinks. They're just going to continue adding. Instead of saying, you know what, we sell at the highest point and maybe get a huge return in return on it.
Or maybe the perspective is Jerry's not the investor per se. Jerry's like buying for the love of the game. Jerry's like, I like this player, and thus I want to have this player around, right? Like, I like this card, and I have it because I enjoy having it, not because of like the value that it has.
It's I don't know if you ever saw basketball before, but there was
Bob Costas.
One of the owners of one of the basketball teams had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar just hanging out in his office all the time, and that's how I feel Jerry is sometimes. He just wants those guys hanging around him. All right, this is an age-old question that I believe goes back to 2018.
That is when the tweet was sent correct.
Reggie sent a tweet out and said, I wonder how many NFL quarterbacks can dunk.
Starting quarterbacks. That's
starting quarterbacks. I have a list of all the quarterbacks
based
this year.
off of Nick Foles dunking a basketball.
I don't know what started. I think I was running a Ranger baseball game here at the station, and I was just talking with some friends, like in a text group chat, and that was the conversation, and we kind of tried to hammer it out. I think then I was there around half the league, but now I think my number's changed.
All right, so you say, is your number higher or lower then?
My number is higher now, especially with like the younger cats who are more athletic. I think my number is somewhere around 20, maybe 20 to 22.
Okay, 20 to 22. Mike, what do you say about the NFL starting quarterbacks that you think can dunk?
Yeah, I'd say 2/3 to 3/4 of the league.
Okay, all right. So 22 for that. Is that about the same? Yeah, it's about the same right there. 877-881-1053. Let's go through the list right now. Can Pat Mahomes dunk?
Yes, we've seen him dunk.
Okay. This one, I think this guy can do anything. Tom Brady, can he dunk?
I don't think he can anymore, but I bet he could 10 to 15 years ago.
All right. 10 to 15 years ago.
Like when he was in his mid-20s to maybe like 32.
Okay. You don't think he has the oomph and the hamstrings to
Not
get up?
at 40-something, no.
All right.
And, I mean, it's worth remembering, these guys are often like 6'3", 6'4", and pretty athletic, even if they're not like the athletes that the wide receivers are or whatever. So for the most part, you're dealing with some, a really good opportunity of having these guys dunk.
Aaron Rodgers.
He's at the age where I would struggle to say yes, but I bet he could when he was in his prime ages.
But no more. No more for Aaron Rodgers, Reggie?
He stays kind of active.
Okay.
I'll lean towards, how tall is he? He's 6'2", isn't he?
6'2", 6'3".
I'll say he can.
Okay. Reggie's saying yes. I'm going to put that at 2. Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited.
Man, he's short.
What is he, 6 foot even?
Maybe. 5'11". Frank Gore. I'm sorry. Hold on.
What?
Somebody just asked that on the fan. Yes, Frank Gore can do anything. Russell Wilson?
I wonder. I'll lean
I have
towards no.
questions.
Okay.
I know
Wow.
I said 65 to 75%, but you're naming all the old people right now.
I'm just going down the list right now. Deshaun Watson.
100%.
All right. So that's 3. Josh Allen.
100%.
Yes, absolutely.
Dak Prescott on that ankle.
Yes.
I think he still can, yeah.
Okay. So wow, that's 5 already that we got out of the top 7. Lamar Jackson.
Absolutely.
Matt Ryan.
No.
I bet he could when he was at Boston College.
Baker.
Baker's a real question because he's 6 foot, and I've seen a video of him like trying to dunk, but it was in like jeans and like Converse.
Okay.
He got kind of close, but it wasn't like it wasn't the type of close where you're like, oh, he could definitely dunk. It was like, ooh, I have a question, so I'm gonna go no.
All right. Matt Stafford.
Not anymore.
Okay. Ryan Tannehill.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big old yeah.
By the way, my dad saw Stafford play shortstop at Highland Park and was like, he would have definitely been a good college shortstop. And he couldn't say like major league, but he was like, he would have played professional baseball and been a very good baseball player. So his athleticism was probably there to dunk a basketball,
but not anymore
at an earlier age.
Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'll lean towards yes.
I think so.
Okay, Derek Carr is on the list. Kirk Cousins.
I got questions. I got real questions.
Right.
He doesn't strike me as an athlete.
Okay, he
went to Michigan
he
State.
Can throw a tight spiral.
They dunk.
All right. You said they dunk.
Michigan State.
Justin Herbert.
100%
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
He's like 6'6".
Ben Roethlisberger.
Not anymore.
Long arms.
I don't know that he goes vertical at all.
You think he's like Sean Bradley, could slide a piece of paper under him when he jumps?
Yeah,
Maybe.
That's the way that I view him. I could be wrong, but I just don't think that he be jumping.
Kyler.
That's a lot of distance to go up there, but I feel like
I think
the
he
jump
can.
is there. I just don't.
think
I
he
don't.
can.
It's a lot of distance.
Oh, I'm gonna mark it as a yes. I have 2 questionables. All right, on the yeses. Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interest. I don't think Joe Burrow can dunk.
I
I just
6'5".
Oh, he's 6'5"? No way.
I'll click on him.
6'5"? Wow. Ryan
He's
Fitzpatrick.
6'4". He's 6'4". Yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Nah.
No.
He's old.
Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, he's pretty athletic. And he's
Athlete.
tall.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
He's
Athlete.
6'6", ain't he?
Yeah.
You don't got to go far.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's had knee
No
issues,
idea.
right?
Yeah.
That's the only reason I'd say no.
Okay.
Is-
Carson Wentz.
Oh yeah.
He could.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he dunked in Colts. What was it, mini camp when they were
Okay.
doing the bonding exercises with the goal? I'm pretty sure he dunked.
I will say that both of these guys can dunk, but we'll only count it as one. Jameis or Taysom.
Jameis. Ooh, the funny thing about Jameis is big, but Jameis is not like, I don't know.
I think he's got long arms.
I bet Taysom Hill can dunk.
Oh yeah, I would gamble on Taysom over Jameis. Funny enough.
All right, I got both of them as listed as it for one. Justin Fields, yes. Right?
Easy money.
Jared Goff.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, but also like I feel like I don't know that he does a lot of like the jumping type things.
Cam.
You probably have to throw an alley-oop to him because he probably can't palm it.
Cam.
I know that he
himself up
could
there.
easily, but I don't know if he can now.
That's a man who did not play with painkillers for a majority of his career.
Just
He'll will himself up
Straight
there.
up mental fortitude. From the 832, dude, I'm a 6-foot guy from Granbury, and I could dunk 5 out of 10. All these guys can dunk at one time. I agree that all of them were athletes at one time. Sam Darnold.
Yes.
Oh yeah, give me that.
Really? Okay. Tua.
I'm going to lean towards no with Tua.
Because of the hip.
I'm gonna say yes.
Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
All right. Zach Wilson.
Yes, absolutely. I've seen video of him dunking.
Andrew Luck.
They say Zach Wilson has the athleticism of Patrick Mahomes. But I can't wait to watch it, to see if he can really do those Patrick Mahomes things.
Drew Lock? I'm just
Yes.
going to say he's not good at anything. But.
He's 24 years old and very athletic.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That puts it, that final number then is 21.
Yeah.
With 3 questionables.
And then funny enough,
questionable
I think
guys.
there's people on the fan text that think we're being a little too conservative on this, that
Really?
there's some of those guys that we said no on that probably could. Some of those guys that are in the 6-foot range that absolutely probably have the hops.
Yeah, I'll say this. I dunked on a 9-foot goal. There's factual proof of me doing it on the internet out there on Facebook. I did it at one point.
It was very that David whatever Copperfield type of
There's
deal.
no David Copperfielding
camera
going
moves
on
for
there.
15
There is
seconds
There's
and
no
then
David
comes back to
Copperfielding.
you.
Coming up next, NBA Odyssey insider Brian Scalabrine joins the show. Next on The Fan. Back here on the KNC Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan. Corey Majors, Mike Bassick, and Reggie holding down the fort for you. We'll get to the G-Bag Nation coming up at 2 o'clock today. They crushed it yesterday with Jerry and Jason Kidd. Fantastic stuff. But on the line with us right now, Odyssey NBA insider Brian Scalabrine. Insider calls are brought to you by Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. Scal, how's it going, man?
I'm headed to your city this weekend for a little Big 3 action.
Nice. Nice. Are you,
Dude, Joe Johnson's. I was watching some of that. Joe Johnson can still play, man.
Fire. Oh, man. Like, it's kind of a joke that he's not playing at the highest level against the best in the world, but he is next level, and it's great how all these guys line up and they're all about stopping him, and the disappointment in their face when he goes to counter after counter after counter and sticks a tough shot right in their face. It is so remarkable to watch Joe Johnson play.
we were just discussing how many guys in the NFL, how many NFL quarterbacks that we think can dunk, and I think we got the number to like 21 with 3 questionable guys that can dunk. Are there any guys in the NBA that cannot dunk and get laughed at, or does everybody put it in the basket easy?
I mean, if you're not dunking in the NBA, it's like, like T.J. McConnell. He's 6 foot. He's never dunked in an NBA game, but he can throw down like a reverse on his own. So I don't think there's any players in the NBA that can't dunk. So that's no. There's a lot of players in the NBA that can't throw a football, though.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Or baseball. Mike knows that.
So, Brian, I want to get into this because this is really fun. The draft is Thursday night. The Mavericks have 0 picks in this draft because of pretty much the Porzingis trade. That's fine. But when we're looking at the major trade that happened yesterday between Memphis and New Orleans, I thought Valanciunas was great in the second half for Memphis. I was really surprised that they're moving on from him. Can you give us an idea of what you're hearing about what New Orleans is trying to do and what Memphis is trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, let's go New Orleans first. They shed a bunch of salary. They have to give up 7 slots for their pick. But then, there's clearly a guy that Memphis is targeting with that 10th pick. And then they're thinking that they're going to get a Kyle Lowry type of point guard, maybe Mike Conley, Kyle Lowry. They're looking for a veteran point guard. It won't be the likes of Chris Paul, but think about it's a copycat league. The Phoenix Suns went out there and got Chris Paul, and they went to the NBA Finals. So you had a Kyle Lowry type with a Zion Williamson, a Brandon Ingram, maybe Josh Hart, and Valanciunas. That's a really good team.
Yeah.
So then Memphis is targeting a player that, as good as Memphis is, they're not, in my opinion, like knocking on the door with their current roster anywhere in the present or in the future to win it all. So Memphis believes there's a player at 10 that they can get that maybe is a win-it-all type of player somewhere down the road. So Memphis is playing the long game, and New Orleans is playing the short game.
How much do you study prospects going into the draft?
Just a little bit, I try to see whoever was considered the top 20 guys. But I keep telling people this: you can watch highlights all you want, and they don't do justice because it's about the plays that they don't make, not the plays that they do make. It's okay, let's use Luka for an example. Phenomenal, Hall of Famer, whatever. If he couldn't pass, how good would he really be? You know what I mean? And you never see elite passing when you're watching YouTube and stuff like that. So I think the biggest thing that you want to see is the guy's feel for the game. And the biggest thing they don't show you when you're studying these guys is their feel for the game.
Okay. All right. I saw this morning that the Mavericks are closing in on Igor Kosikov, who was coach for the Suns for a year. Charles Barkley didn't like that they only kept him around for a year, but there was an idea that he couldn't connect with some of the young players. He goes to, I think, Sacramento, goes back to Turkey, and now he's coming to the Mavericks. What's behind the mindset for the Mavericks here? Is it just a personal relationship of somebody that knows this man, that Luka knows, or is there something else in mind there?
Oh, I don't have any clue whatsoever. I know he's a good coach.
Okay.
And I know he knows Luka, and that's all I really know. I don't know, he could be a phenomenal defensive strategist that I have no idea about. I know the guy, and I know, but whatever the reasoning for the Mavs to do it, your guess is really as good as mine. And I know what you know, but I do know that, it's always good to have a guy that's been a head coach as an assistant, in my opinion. I think it's really helpful to keep a head coach grounded and make it so they don't overreact one way or another. So maybe that's their thinking. But, obviously a relationship with Luka doesn't hurt at all.
So, Brian, yesterday we had Jason Kidd on our station, and he was talking about how excited he is for Porzingis and the relationship that he has with him, and that he's healthy and he's having a great offseason so far. I'm suspect, I'll just give you my opinion, I'm suspect on Porzingis really ever being kind of a top 30 player in this league. What are your thoughts on where Porzingis can go if he is healthy?
So I'll tell you where I'm at with Porzingis, right? Every time, and listen, I have to follow all NBA players on Instagram, which I don't love doing it because I think a lot of it is smoke and mirrors, right? But you always see Porzingis lifting weights with his upper body and all that stuff, and look at Porzingis looks great in the off season and all that stuff. If Porzingis strengthened his lower body, I think he has a chance to be a special player. Not just for being able to hold your ground and post up, which you guys know he had a hard time doing that against smaller opponents, but also the guy gets injured a lot. So, I would not give up on a 7'4" guy or a 7'3" guy who could do what he does. Yet, if there's a way to upgrade my roster, I would definitely do that. There is a guy that might fit in better with Luka Doncic than Porzingis, but he has to get stronger. He has to get bigger. I would sacrifice a little bit of a quickness for strength, and he has to get mentally tougher, because Luka is mentally tough. You have to get on the same wavelength as that. You can't reject the idea that this organization is built around Luka. You have to embrace that idea, and then that's his journey to being, maybe he's never a top 30 player, but that is his journey to having a fulfilling career. And I always wish for the best for every player in the NBA, whether I like him, don't like him, whatever. And I always root for a guy like Porzingis. I really think that if he can get his mentality right, I think that he could be impactful for the Mavs. But they have to develop him the way that whatever they did with Dirk. And Dirk wasn't always the Dirk Nowitzki that we saw dominating the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. He developed into that. I would love to see Porzingis do the same thing.
I always tease Brian because I'm a former baseball player from 96 to 08, and I'm like, hey, if it's only a 25-game suspension, do steroids, do HGH. It puts on 30 pounds of muscle. Take your 25 or whatever game suspension it is anyways, and then all of a sudden you're a lot bigger and stronger.
He can also do it with hard work, He has a boatload of money to find the right people, and he could just eat protein shakes. Whatever it is, he needs to gain weight, and we all can agree with that. I don't care if it's 25 pounds, 30 pounds. I don't care if he loses quickness. He needs to put on some weight.
Just go get all the 50 counts at Chick-fil-A like Giannis was doing, and maybe he can do it. I am kind of curious about that, Scal. When you won your championship in 2008 with Boston. What was, because we just saw Giannis, he's on Instagram Live. He's living it up afterwards. What was the party scene like for you? I know we saw Dirk. We saw what they did in the locker room. They went and partied at the club. And then, I wonder how long that thing goes at when it comes to the parade and all that. How long did you just live it up with that championship, man?
Yeah, so the night of, it was at home, and I got my wife there and stuff like that. So that is what it is. And it's hanging out, taking pictures and all that stuff. It probably went till 3 a.m. And but when you win a championship on the road, they say the real partying begins at that point. So, I'm sure the Mavs won in Miami, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah. I can only imagine what that turned into that year. So yeah, I mean, like everyone parties differently. I do regret if I could do it over, and let's say in 2010, which we came up short. Oh my gosh, I would party all night and over and over again. I just didn't know exactly how to celebrate when we won the championship, but we were out till 3 and doing all that stuff. But I would say it was a level 5, and if I won again, I'd make it a level 10.
Scal, I'm going to take you off of that championship run and take you to Tim Hardaway Jr. The Mavericks seem to be making him number 1 priority. Do you know of any teams that really want Tim Hardaway Jr. besides the Dallas Mavericks? And then I'm just afraid it's going to be $20 million a year, which he's a good player. That takes away all cap space. So then you're down to just making trade. So give me your thoughts on Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah, so they can do some things first. Like the Mavs have like a little bit of cap space and all that stuff. So I'm a huge fan of Tim Hardaway Jr. I think a 3-and-D guy is exactly what you're looking for. He's not afraid of the moment. So I would definitely sign him. And you got to remember, there's a lot of teams that are looking for players like that. So even if for whatever reason, you can upgrade your roster, you would want to have that salary slot. So it's $20 million, $23 million for Tim Hardaway Jr. I don't think you guys are, after this year, aren't you guys no longer in the cap space game?
You're done because we're about to supermax Luka. So next year, Luka is on his supermax contract.
Yeah. So at this point, it's all about you got to get it either A, sign and trade and try to get Kawhi Leonard or whoever else you could figure out and make a deal, or B, you got to get these guys in your team that are going to center around Luka that maybe in the future you can also move an asset for. So Tim Hardaway Jr. is a valuable asset around the NBA. So no matter what he signs for, as long as it's not $30 million, that is a tradable contract. So you have to do it if you're Dallas.
I like the trade for Josh Richardson. It did not work out. Now the Mavericks sound like if he opts into his $11 million, they're going to try to do the best to move him. Why do you think he didn't fit here in Dallas? And it's interesting to me that Porzingis didn't fit here last year, but they're like, don't worry, he's going to fit and be unbelievable this year. And now they're saying, well, Josh Richardson under a new coaching staff, we don't want anything to do with him.
So, and this is what I look for in the draft as well. When you talked about prospects, right? I am looking for elite guys who can move the open space and shoot. And when we talk about Tim Hardaway, that's a guy that could do that. If there's an open spot on the court and a guy like Luka is driving to the basket, he can get into space, catch and shoot before the defense gets there. Richardson has a slower release, so he doesn't fit in as well with Luka. Richardson would like to get the ball remember when he was with Philadelphia, like Joel Embiid. That ball is coming straight out most of the time off of double team, and he doesn't have to move the space, or he doesn't have to have a quick release. So if I'm the Dallas Mavericks, I'm looking for all those type of guys. And I was fortunate to play with Ray Allen, who was phenomenal at that. He could create space out of nothing and get his shot off. And that is what superstar players who have the ball in their hands are looking for, because when you have guys that can do that, it makes offense and makes people worried about a Tim Hardaway. And if Josh Richardson somehow this offseason increases shot speed, then he would be a valuable commodity. But he hasn't, and he probably isn't now at this point in his career. So good player, but not necessarily a perfect fit at that amount for Luka Doncic.
Scal, we really appreciate your time. Good luck against the Ghost Ballers, man.
Yeah, I hope we see you guys out there.
Absolutely, man. Have a good one.
You got it, guys.
There goes Brian Scalabrine. That was Odyssey NBA insider Brian Scalabrine. Insider calls brought to you by Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. We know life's busy, so come to Shell to fill up, save up, and snack up to make the most of the stop you need to make. All right, coming up next on the KNC Masterpiece, it's time to dip into some gridiron gravy. And my question to you is, why New Orleans is such a chaotic scene right now? Next on The Fan. Back here on the KNC Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan, Corey Majors, Mike Bassick, and Reggie, all with you, heading into the lunch hour, but it's time to go around the entire NFL and dip into some gridiron gravy. Gridiron Gravy is brought to you by AmericanEagle.com. When your business needs a website that produces, call the team at AmericanEagle.com, building your digital mindset. I think we have to start with Aaron Rodgers, Mike, because that's been the biggest.
What happened? What did he do?
The biggest story, right?
What?
It is a huge story.
He's back. He is back with the Packers. He was wearing Adolis Garcia's glasses as he walked into the Green Bay Packers facility. Is that the new style?
Why did he take Adolis' glasses?
Because Adolis was like, "Hey, wear these; they'll make you better." Is that the new style of
The bigger
sunglasses? The huge, like Pat Mahomes had them.
My kid just spent money on some Oakleys like that.
Really?
Yeah.
And if they were Oakleys, they were big money too.
Yeah, he spent like $100-something that he had saved up on because he wanted those for his baseball season.
God, I miss being a kid where you don't have responsibilities. That sounds great.
Are any other adults out there wearing those sunglasses? Or is that?
I think you have to make 7 figures or 8 figures to do that, Corey. I think that's how that works.
All right. Okay. Well, he is back with the Packers.
The first guy I ever remember seeing wear those was Bo Bichette, his rookie year in 2019. He was playing the Rangers. I was like, he's wearing ski goggles. And they're very big, like ski goggles, but that was the style that started in kind of summer of 2019.
I guess the what did Aaron Rodgers achieve by his holdout or whatever? What do you guys think that he was looking for and got out of it?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I saw that the Packers are going to do this situation where they're going to kind of lop off the extra years on the back of this contract, so this will be his last season.
Was that worth it to him? Like, is that because it felt like he didn't even want to play this year for him, and now it sounds like, well, I'll concede. I'm caving to this.
I mean, he got 2 years of
removed.
His own. Yes, I think that what happened here was this was kind of the way for both of them to win and save face.
Mm-hmm.
Because Aaron Rodgers will then get to control his destiny after this year. And the Packers, as Mike was pointing out earlier, like the Packers don't allow, and the ownership class of the NFL don't allow it to look like a player held them hostage and got them to do something, and I think that that's kind of what happened here. At least that was my perspective on it.
Their whole plan was, now this is what is tough about this, Corey, is to have him play this year. Aaron Rodgers made sure that they couldn't trade him to get assets, and he would have to somewhat go to that team because he got traded to that team that really wanted him. Let's just say it's the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
Like he might not want to go to Miami.
He can choose whatever he wants.
Now he gets to be a total free agent, and Green Bay gets no compensation for him. So that's what he got. He got his free agency because that was the plan all along. When they drafted Jordan Love, it was for Aaron Rodgers to play 2 years and then for Love to take over after 2 years. And so the Packers kind of get what they want in that Love takes over after being the backup to Aaron Rodgers for 2 years. But now they're not going to get any compensation for Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, this is what he gets. He gets to be free after this year, which he wasn't going to be. He was still going to be Green Bay's property, and now he won't be anymore.
Now, I'm interested in that too, Mike, because Sean was discussing your take on this morning. Is Deshaun Watson not getting a win, at least by the Texans taking calls on his trade? Is that like I'm not playing for you, and now they're starting to take calls? Aaron Rodgers kind of gets a win here because he gets to do what he wants.
I don't see how Deshaun Watson got a win. He said, I'm never playing for Houston again, and he showed up to Houston's camp.
If he still gets traded, though, then that's a win, isn't it?
For him?
Yeah. Even though he showed up to camp like that, he had to show up to camp for them to make that call.
So I look at.
I'm just asking, like,
No, I don't see it. If let's just put you in the situation of you own somebody.
Okay.
I mean, I know that sounds bad, but that's how the Houston Texans own. They're like, I'm not showing up for you again. Like, all right, well, let's see.
Well,
how are you not showing up? And then he shows up. You're like, well, I won the battle of that. Like, you can't just say I'm not showing up. Now I'm going. Now, and Houston, if they trade him, is going to get great assets for him. And Deshaun Watson gets to go to another team. He doesn't want to be part of the Texans anymore, but he still has to be part of the Texans. He didn't win the battle of, like, I'm not going to be a Texan anymore.
But there's also the understanding that in the NFL, that level of quarterback doesn't come easy. And the Texans are basically in a place where they have to send him, or where they've come to grips with the idea of sending him away in a way that there was no chance that was going to happen before any of this stuff happened.
I think
before any of this uproar.
I think the NFL owner groups will still look at it and say they're still clenching to power. I think they'll look at it and say we're still getting our victories here, so we're good.
I mean, they're trying to get to NBA player status, and they're not even close to it.
It's gonna take way too much. Their union has so much more to do to help them and get to that point.
Especially with the CBA now making it so that like teams can't. Remember how it used to be when a player held out and the player came back, the team would be like, don't worry about those fines. We'll wipe That's not allowed in the CBA anymore. Like, if you miss time, those fines are going to get paid, and I think that's some of why you're seeing these guys cave when it comes time to show up.
By the way, from the 817, Pit Vipers, hell yeah, I'm wearing those with my mullet. And a lot of other people saying that they Pit Vipers or the Blenders models or the Sutros, that's the style, man. Everybody's going after them right now.
These Cato X's by Oakley, which are I don't think these are the ones my son got, but he got youth size, but they're $291. Like Francisco Lindor is their rep on that, like the picture of him wearing them. And
do they make your eyesight better?
They must make you be able to hit the ball harder.
Oakley's, to me, wearing them when I played baseball, and I was just wearing them, doing outfield stuff like shagging balls and everything. To me, they are the most comfortable baseball glass to wear.
Fitting underneath the brim of your hat. Yeah, that makes
and they're
sense.
light and everything like that. So I think they're the best, like, for me at least, baseball sunglass. But, for just like going out, I'm not paying $300 just to go out.
I just miss the flip up glasses. I just want to see those come back.
Those are stupid.
No, Dwayne Wayne.
Yeah,
he was the reason I wanted a pair, man. Absolutely. All right, the Chiefs saw the
we weren't allowed in the minor leagues in the 90s to wear Oakleys in the minor leagues. You could wear the flips that they provided you, which pressed against your face.
Oh yeah, those things were
so
terrible.
hard they hurt. And then you had to flip, and then and the sunglass, it wasn't a good sunglass. And I never understood that. I'm like, so you don't want us to have premium equipment. You want us to have to flip these horrible sunglasses into the sun. And they're like, yeah, you need to learn how to catch the ball in the sun is what their thing was.
Wait, Mike, you mean that like companies sometimes have their employees work with subpar equipment?
I think we're going to actually get into that at 12:20. We'll get into that topic at 12:20. It's coming up in just a little bit. Patrick Mahomes spent a lot of his time during the Super Bowl running for his life because the Buccaneers were like, we're coming to get you. They went out and signed Joe Thuney. They coaxed Kyle Long out of retirement. They added Rams center Austin Blythe as a free agent, Creed Humphrey, and also Orlando Brown. And Orlando Brown said they brought in a bunch of guys who love the game of football and who play this game emotionally. We're all emotionally invested in each other, and it's time to prove that we are ready to get to work and be excited about this. So is this offensive line well constructed for Patrick Mahomes to succeed this year?
I think as long as they're pretty healthy, they're going to be a tough team to beat. Because they were going to me, I don't know. I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan. If they wouldn't have got hurt in the AFC Championship game, I think they win the Super Bowl. If he has
I think that game's a lot closer.
Line, I think they win the Super Bowl, but maybe
I think that game's a lot closer than it was if he has a healthy offensive line because, again, running for his life, his receivers, you saw balls pop out of their hands that probably wouldn't have had he been comfortable in the pocket.
Yeah, I think that definitely negated some of the powers of Patrick Mahomes, but I think that we still have to give a lot of credit to Todd Bowles and that defense because they had the game plan all the way down.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year.
All right, hopefully that offensive line can really put something up there because I have the Cowboys. That's the first time that the Chiefs lose is against the Cowboys. I think they're going to go undefeated up until that point. So. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Saints could be just a crazy place. All right. In New Orleans, it could absolutely be crazy. Michael Thomas is expected to miss up until week 7.
Yep. Which is why you don't collect wide receiver cards either.
Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, and Deontay Harris among its receivers. Also, they added Chris Hogan. So they went and got Chris Hogan and got him on a deal after he spent time. Guess where he was? Playing lacrosse.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's something that they talk about on the broadcast all the time. I really wonder who's your favorite player that has like that annoying thing that the broadcasters refuse to stop saying.
Oh, that he played lacrosse?
Yeah.
Nick Foles could dunk a basketball 4 years ago. Like, okay, fine. Yeah, he's tall. I mean, this isn't a big deal, right?
Chad Ochocinco tweeted this out, Mike. At Saints, hear me out. Even years removed, I'm still in better shape than 90% of these earthlings and can play until my guy Can't Guard Mike comes back. Don't need money or a contract, just a company car and a place to stay. What do you think?
That's funny. He was horrible his last year in the NFL. So no, he's done. Our careers all end at some point, usually around our mid-30s if you're even really good at your sport. He is totally done. He has no chance to compete at an NFL level.
But he's not even asking for money. He just wants a company car and a place to stay. They have hotels around there.
They would have to pay him something. There's league minimum or something.
Yeah, we all want to play too. We'd be about as effective as Chad Johnson would in the NFL.
Wow. Speaking of a guy that wants money, got money from the defensive line of the Washington football team, Jonathan Allen signs a 4-year, $72 million deal. They say, you know what, we're investing in our front, in our defensive line. Let's get after it there. So he has a $72 million deal. That is beefy for a man in the middle. All right, coming up next here on the KNC Masterpiece, let's go ahead and reevaluate some NFL trades. There have been some big ones that have gone down. Who actually won these trades? Next on The Fan.